Hello again, everyone. Lar from Complete Test Success here. So today's live stream is Q&A. So that stands for question and answers. So any questions you have about the IELTS test, let me know. So you might have questions about reading, writing, listening, or speaking. So ask me whatever questions you have, and I'll do my best to give you an answer that is both appropriate, but also will help you improve your scores. Or you mightn't have a question specifically. It might be more of a problem that you're having. So if you would rather just describe an issue that you're experiencing with some part of the IELTS test, then by all means, let me know what that issue is. And again, I'll try my best to help you overcome that. Gaurav, eagerly awaiting since yesterday. Good. Thanks, Gaurav. Hi, Ritesh. Good to see you here. And Nitesh, welcome. What's up? IELTS, always IELTS, 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 IELTS. Hey, Gagan. Welcome to the live stream. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I'll just wait for you guys to start sending in your questions, and then we're ready to get started. While I'm waiting for questions to come in, let me just share a link with you all. So every week I have live feedback lessons. So these are free lessons that I have on Zoom. They're every week for my email subscribers. So we cover reading, writing, listening, speaking, writing task 1 for general, writing task 1 for academic, writing task 2. And then we have Q&As like this as well. So basically they're on Zoom where, we're talking face to face, and you're more than welcome to join those. So if you're interested, you'll find the link in the comments, in the video description as well, I believe. So click on that, sign up if you haven't already, and I'll be able to support you more there as well as here. So you might be on Facebook or you might be on YouTube. You'll find the links in either places. So does anyone have any questions? If not, that's okay. Surprising if you don't, but okay. But because it's a Q&A, if I don't have any questions to answer, then this will be a pretty short live stream. Hi, Mehmet. Good to see you here. Welcome. Hello, sir. Can we answer negatively to a question during IELTS speaking? For example, what kind of books do you like? How do you shop for books? Say, I don't like books. Yep, you can. But the IELTS examiner will continue asking you questions about books. So if we're talking about IELTS speaking part 1, there will be 4 questions about books. So if the first question is, what type of books do you like? And you say, honestly, I don't like books at all. I never read. But okay, a bad answer would be, I don't like books. But if you explain why you don't like books, so you still need to expand your answer. So, I don't like books. I actually never read. Most of my time I spend either surfing the internet, I'll look at magazines and newspapers online, or, I'll just play video games or watch TV in the evening. There's absolutely none of my time is spent reading books because I don't really like them. So you can answer your question within a negative like that. That's no problem. But you do need to still develop your answer. So don't just finish with, I don't like books, and that's it. You expand your answer. The other thing then, like I was saying, is there are 4 questions coming about books. And the examiner is asking the questions regardless of your answer. The examiner is required doing what they're told to do. They're going to ask you the next question. So you've just explained you don't like books, and then the next question is, and how do you usually shop for books? So, you've just said I don't like books, and now you have to talk about how you shop for books. So it's going to be back to, like I just said, I never read books, so I don't shop for books. Normally, I shop for stuff online. So I guess if I was buying a book, that's how I would do it. But as I said, I don't like books, so that never happens. So again, like there are more questions coming about books, even if you say you don't like them. It's up to you to figure out how to answer the rest of the questions. But no problem, it won't reduce your score. Just, you're being tested on your English, not on your how much you like books. So yeah, giving whatever answer you want is fine, but make sure to develop it, and don't expect the examiner to stop asking you about books, because they won't. So yeah, you can. Short answer, yes, you can. Sha, hello. Hi to you there. Welcome to the lesson. Mehmet, ask questions. Any questions? Hello, Lar, it's me, Daphne, always watching your videos. Great. Good to see you here, Daphne. Mehmet, I'm writing academic task 1. Should we mention what X and Y axis show? No, there's generally no need to describe what's on the X and Y axis. By paraphrasing the question, normally that will indicate what the graph is about. So no, you don't need to say what is on the X-axis, what is on the Y-axis. But that information will be included in your paraphrase. Not that it's what's on the X and what's on the Y, but what the graph is about, and that's enough. So no, you don't need to literally write down on the X-axis. It is, you don't need to do that. You're very welcome, Ben. No problem. Hello, Facebook user. Hi, Alfie. I would like to ask, how do I improve the explaining topic skill in task 2? Because I often get stuck when I'm trying to explain it. So it's usually like when you're explaining it, it's the why in relation. So you've said your main idea. Your main idea is answering the question. So what you need to do next is say, why does your main idea explain the question? So let me just think, for example, here now. The brain isn't operating on full capacity here this morning. I'll just pull up a document. I'll find a question here. Okay, so let's say nowadays more people are getting married in their 30s rather than in their 20s. Is this a positive or a negative situation, right? So let's say I think it's positive because these people have more time to mature before having children. Okay, so it's better for people to get married in their 30s. I'm saying it's positive. It's better because they have more time to mature before having children. Now, why is it better that people are mature before having children? What is the benefit of maturing before having children? Or what you want to say is, why are people more mature if they wait until they're... Sorry, my first point is wrong. Sorry, I need to recorrect myself. You need to explain, how does waiting until you're in your 30s to get married mean that you're more mature before you have children? So that's your explanation. So you're explaining your main point in the context of the question. So why does this mean this? Or why does waiting until you're married in your 30s mean that you'll be more mature before having children? So you need to explain that. So, the explanation then is the why or the how. So, the next point would be like, if people get married in their 30s, most people don't have children until after they get married. Therefore, if they wait until their 30s before getting married, they will be older and have more time to mature before they have children. So like that, you're explaining the how or the why, but in relation to the question. So that's always the explanation is going to be the how or the why. How does this happen, or why does this happen? You can call me Bushra. Very good. Bushra from Bangladesh. Good to see you here. Kulwant's back. Hey, Kulwant. My question is that how to thank a teacher like you who is doing such a great favor to those students who are misguided by the so-called IELTS experts. Thank you for everything. You're very, very welcome. I believe clicking like and subscribing to my channel or liking my page, I believe that supports me in some way or another. I don't honestly fully understand how Facebook or YouTube works, but I see all the other people on Facebook and YouTube saying like my channel and like my video and stuff like that. So I guess there's some benefit to it. So Sorn from Cambodia, hello to you. Welcome to the lesson. So again, what we're doing, thanks Kulwant, what we're doing here is asking questions about any part of the IELTS test. So I can just see there are a few extra people have joined. So any questions, any problems you're having about the IELTS test, let me know and I'll be able to answer those for you. Okay, could you suggest some resources for improving writing task 1 vocab? I can suggest a page that I have on my website, which is specifically about academic, is what you said? What I'm sharing with you here is for academic. I don't know if you're doing academic or not, but let's just go with that for now. So if you go to the comments there, XXXXYZ, you'll see this academic IELTS task 1 vocabulary, and there's a link to my website there. And basically it's just all the typical vocab you need for describing graphs, but based on an actual graph. So you can see exactly what it's describing. And then there are various like ways to paraphrase the same thing. So, you know, for every different thing that can happen on a graph, there are about 6 ways to say it. And learning vocabulary for academic task 1 is very beneficial because, like, you know, 75% of task 1 questions are about graphs and charts. So there's a 75% chance that you can use that vocabulary in your IELTS test. Now, there's no other vocab that you can be so confident you will be able to use in your test. So it is really, really beneficial. It's very, very like a very good use of your time to learn that specific set of vocab, because you have a very high probability of using it. You know, compared to, you know, for task 2, reading, listening, speaking, you know, you might learn, you know, like 50 words about the environment and you get no question about the environment. You know, there's a lot less certainty about what topics will come up in the other parts. But in task 1 for academic, it's, you know, really, really, it should be a priority to learn that vocabulary before your test. Hello, Collins, and you're welcome. Bushra, I have to take IELTS for the 2nd time. However, I'm terrified about writing and reading. Last time I got caught in the reading sections. So the thing is, like, why are you terrified? And I mean, I can guess. My guess is you didn't get the score you needed. You don't know why you didn't get the score you needed. So you're going back in blind again. You're going back in with the same, you know, the same knowledge you had the first time round. You don't know what you did wrong. You don't know what you need to do to improve. You're doing the test again, and you're just hoping that things will be better, but you haven't really taken any action that convinces you you're going to do better. I mean, I don't know for sure if that's your experience, but certainly the students who are on my course, you know, that's essentially why they join my course. That's essentially why they come to me for help. Because, like, let's say, less so in reading and listening. With reading and listening, you can get a Cambridge IELTS book. They're official practice tests they're official tests that were used previously by IELTS. So you can do a practice reading test, you can do a practice listening test, and you can see, you know, what scores you got, what scores you can expect, why you got your answers wrong. You can figure all that out. but more so for writing and for speaking. Like you got a band 6.5 in writing. Why did you get a 6.5? First of all, was it task 1 or was it task 2? After that, was it your task achievement, your coherence and cohesion, your vocabulary, your grammar? So, and then if it was your task achievement, well, was it because your ideas were irrelevant? Was it because you didn't develop your ideas enough? Was it because your ideas were vague? Like there's all of these things that factor into your writing score that are very difficult to figure out by yourself. So I mean, getting support of someone who understands how the test is scored, that makes writing manageable, and it shows you what you need to improve. With reading, I would say just get a Cambridge IELTS book, and you can figure that out. Mehmet, I have recently heard from one IELTS expert that in IELTS writing task 2, example causes and solution essay, it's not enough to write only one cause and one solution. Both of them should be well developed. It is enough to write only one cause and one solution. It depends on the question. So if it says, what is the cause of this situation? One cause is enough. If it says, what are the causes of this situation? Then one cause is not enough. So it depends on the question. So, if you show me a question where it says cause and you ask me, is one cause enough? I will say, yes, one cause is enough. But if you show me a question that says causes, the reason I'm saying this is because I don't know how you asked this IELTS expert. Did you show them a question that said cause and say, can I use one cause? And they said yes. So it depends. But if the situation is the question said causes and they said you only need one, then I disagree with them because they're wrong. My question is how to write on diagrams in test 1. So is it how to write about diagrams, about processes? Again, I don't fully understand the question, but I think you're asking me about how to answer process questions. So process questions, like it might be a picture about the different stages in making cheese, something like that. So I'm going to assume that that's what you're asking me about. And let me show you here. Okay, how to answer process questions in academic task 1. So again, Collins, if you go to the comments section, you will see this here. How to answer process questions in academic task 1. You'll find the whole process there. It's pretty straightforward, to be honest, of all the question types, because you can use the language that they've given you. Most of the vocab you're using is directly coming from the question. So all you need is the sequencing language, like first, next, after that, subsequently, those types of words. You need to be able to use passive structures and active structures very flexibly. And then, obviously the overview is still important, but that's all covered. That's all covered in the link I just sent you there. Otuka, my issue is writing task 1. I don't really know how to tackle them. Okay, so you're on Facebook. So what you do is go to my Facebook channel, my Facebook page, go to my Facebook page, click on videos, and you'll find playlists, and there's a playlist for task 1 there. And it'll walk you through the various things that you need to know. But I mean, if you're starting from the very start, I think you just need to go through everything. I can't describe everything you need to know about task 1, but I can direct you towards that resource. If you have a more specific problem that you're having, like you don't know how to do A or you don't know how to do B, then I can definitely help you with that. But this is a very general question, so I'll just direct you towards the resources. Okay, so let me just find the next question here. I'm facing problems in task 2. So again, can you tell me more specifically what is your problem in task 2? What is the issue that you're having with task 2? Because there are a lot of things like starting from the start. Maybe you don't understand the questions. Maybe it's question analysis. So that might mean you need to improve your vocab. Maybe it is that you are not able to plan your essays effectively. Maybe when you're planning your essays, your main ideas aren't relevant. Maybe your main ideas aren't specific. Maybe it's you can't develop those ideas. Maybe you can't think of ideas. So figure out where are you hitting a wall? Where are you stuck? So you need to start from the start. Like as you go through it, oh no, this isn't a problem, this isn't a problem, this isn't a problem. It's when I try to do this, I'm doing it wrong, or I can't do it, or I don't know how to do it. So try to figure out more specifically where it is, where your problem is. If you just open up as like, I have a problem with task 2, it's very difficult to fix, an unknown problem. But if you can narrow it down and figure out where you are and what it is exactly that you can't do, then you can take action. So it could be your language ability. Maybe you just don't have the vocabulary to describe your ideas. Could be grammar. Based on what you've told me, I don't know, but you should be able to narrow it down a bit more than that. You're very welcome. No problem. Mehmet. Is using words in writing task 2 essay that we've never seen and heard before better than simple daily words? No. I mean, you're trying to communicate. You're trying to communicate with someone. Like, just think in your own language. Like, if you've seen a word for the first time, like if you read a scientific journal, you'll find some vocab, you'll find some new words you've never, be your very first time seeing them. You're not going to use them correctly straight away. You would need to get more knowledgeable about the topic before you can use the words. And it's the same in English. And if you are using words that you can't use, you're using them incorrectly, and people aren't going to understand what you're talking about. So no. I mean, you need to use whatever words will help the reader understand you as easily as possible. Like simple daily words, you also need a range, but you need a range of vocab to get a high score. But the thing is, you actually need to be at that level. So it's not that, you get 10 words and you just try to use them in your answer. It's you actually have a vocab ability of a band 7. And what that to get a 7 in vocab doesn't mean while you're writing the essay try to use these difficult words. To get a 7 in vocabulary means you sit down and you spend weeks or months studying vocab every single day so that you really have that level of vocab. So it's not like, how can you trick the examiner into thinking that your vocab is better than it is? Well, you can't. That's why the test is so reliable, is because you can't fool the examiner, and you need to actually improve your vocab if your vocab isn't good enough. So I think that's something that I think a lot of IELTS teachers don't explain clearly is, you can't. And then there are like lots of videos online where it's, use these 10 words and you will get a band 9. But that's not true. That's clickbait. That's somebody that wants you to watch their video. That's not somebody who understands how to get a band 9. So, use whatever words are going to communicate your idea as clearly as possible. And if you're a band 6, that will get you a band 6. If you're a band 7, doing that will get you a band 7. But using complicated words that you don't understand will get you a band 5 or lower. So if you're a 7, it'll bring you down to a 5. If you're a 6, using words you don't understand will bring you down to a 5. So, the best score you can get is the words that you feel most easily communicate your ideas. And if you need to improve your score, you need to improve your overall ability. Can we start our opinion paragraph writing? When it comes to my personal opinion, I hold that it would be more natural to say, in my opinion, I hold that. But then why do we need to say, in my opinion, and I hold that? Now you're repeating yourself. So it's like saying, well, what I think is, I think. Why you don't need to say I think twice, so go one or the other, but it's going to be, in my opinion, category, in my opinion, group, the first group is correct, or I believe that the first group is correct, not in my opinion, I believe that. That's just repetition. Ben, should I avoid talking about political topics like war in the Ukraine that cause high rates of inflation globally? You can discuss whatever you want to discuss. IELTS is not going to ask a question about something that might offend people. The questions are being used all over the world. People from different countries, different backgrounds, different religions, different everything. People from everywhere. So IELTS is not going to use a topic that will offend some people. However, you can say whatever you want. You are not limited to the topics that are, the topics that IELTS are willing to put in their questions. As long as what you're saying is relevant to the question you're asked, you can discuss anything you want. And it doesn't matter if everybody will agree or disagree with you. It doesn't matter if the examiner agrees or disagrees with you. What matters is, are you answering the question you were asked? If you are, you can use whatever examples that you think might or might not offend other people. That's not important. As long as it's relevant and as long as, it's responding to the question you're asked, which is relevant. So as long as it's relevant, you can do it. When it comes to we looked at that already. And Chum, hello Chum. I have a question. I see many sample essays that deal with both sides in the body, regardless of the question. Is it okay if we just write the agree part and ignore the disagree? Yeah, so it depends on the question. So, like if it says, to what extent, or let's just say, if it says, do you agree or disagree? You can say, yes, I agree, or say, I agree because, and then you give 2 reasons why you agree. So if it's that, do you agree or disagree, you can ignore the other side. But if it's a question that says, it's 2 views, one group agrees, one group disagrees, discuss both views and give your own opinion. It says discuss both views. So in that case, you would have to discuss, why people agree, discuss why people disagree. So it just depends. It just depends on the type of question. But unless you're specifically told that you have to discuss both sides, then it's not necessary. Hey, Bincy, doing good? Thank you. Collins, so yeah, you were talking about the process question. Pride, IELTS, general writing, essays, and speaking. I'm not sure what the question is there, Pride. If you give me more advice, I can help you. Hey, Maravik, good to see you. Kulwant, what needs to be done in order to increase the score from a band 8 to a band 9 in IELTS speaking? You need to be just like, not even like, in the morning when you're tired and your brain isn't really working properly yet, you're like, I wouldn't get a band 9. If I just woke up and I didn't have my coffee, I'm not getting a band 9. So, I mean, it's not even about your language ability. You need to be completely fluent, like 100%, like speaking as good, if not better than, the average native English speaker. But also you need to be really switched on. Like you need to be really like, still half asleep this morning, if I'm honest. You need to be completely alert and focused and like really, really on your A game. So not just about your language ability. So to go from 8 to a 9, like precision with vocab, complete precision with grammar, with your intonation and your pronunciation. The way that you can change the meaning of something with your intonation, like all that type of stuff. Like you need to be really on top of it. So it would be a big challenge. How do you tell the difference in vocab range and appropriation of band 7, 8, and 9? Really, it's more at that level. It's more about the density of the less common vocabulary. So like in 7, there'll be a handful of words and there might be a few mistakes. With 8, there'll be a lot of words and pretty much no mistakes. In 9, it'll be like throughout the whole essay, there will be like less common, very precise, flexibly used vocab and no mistakes, essentially. So that's really the difference. It's not that the words, it's not about the words themselves are different. So like, a word that would get a 7 and then a word that would get a 9. It's not about the specific words being used between these levels. It's more to do with the density and the accuracy. So, like the word that will get you a 7 is the same word that will get you a 9. It's just all of the other words that are used along with that one. So, it's not that there are any specific words that will get you a 9. It's just throughout your essay, how often are you using these less common words and how accurately are you using them? Just curious though, I'm not specifically aiming to get a 7, 8, or 9 vocab. No problem, Lam. Niraj, how can we increase TA, LR, CC, and GRA in writing? Well, the answer is this. First, you sit down and you improve TA. Then you sit down and you improve LR. After that, you sit down, you do CC, and after that, you do grammar. There's nothing you can do that will increase all of them at the same time. So again, you're on YouTube. Just go to my channel. You'll find the playlists. They're fairly thorough. So like go to the task 2 playlist, make your way through that. You will find specific information about how to do each of those. But for now, I'm just going to say that you can't do them all in one sitting. You need to do them one at a time. Hi, Sakib. So how to collect ideas for writing task 2. So I'm presuming you mean like how do you think of ideas? And really, I mean, why can you not think of ideas? Like, is it that you don't understand the question? What happens with some students then is they try to think really theoretically, or they try to think about like, I want to go to Canada. So trying to imagine what's the situation in Canada, but just think more on the ground is like your experience, what's happening with you, what have you seen in the world, how about your friends, your family members, your neighbors, like what's going on in your world. Don't worry about thinking about, kind of like looking down like something that you would hear about, more a general thing that you would hear about in a newspaper. Try to think specifically about what you know about your experience and what you see in the world. I mean, if you give me a specific question that you're struggling with, and why you're struggling with it, I would be able to guide you. But at the moment, I'm talking in general the types of things you need to do, but you might be doing those already. You might be having a different issue. So again, it just depends on whatever your problem is. So why can you not generate ideas? Why can you not think of ideas? What happens when you try to think of ideas? So, the answers to those questions would lead us towards the solution. Solwyn, hello to you again. I'm a bit worried about listening. I got band 6.5 in every attempt. What's the most difficult part? What the most difficult part in listening is the MCQs. Where I do many mistakes, please advise me how to improve it. So the big problem with multiple choice questions in listening is that they're so long. you got, like about that much text per question. So most students struggle with at least knowing what the questions are before the audio starts. So what I would recommend is at least read the questions first, go through all the questions, but don't read the topic. So you got question 1, option A, B, C, D. Read question 1, don't read option A, B, C, D. Read question 2, then read question 3, question 4. So don't read the options yet. If you have time, you can go back and read the options later. But at least if you've read the questions, you know what information you're listening for. And then, you'll hear the answer and you can match it with the options later if you need to. I was just talking to my student earlier today. We were talking about exactly this. And what she said was sometimes she gets lost trying to find which option to choose, or she's focusing on which option to choose instead, and then the audio is obviously continuing. So while she's focusing on which option is the correct one, so she's heard the answer and she's trying to find which option is best, which option is correct, and then the audio is gone, so she misses the next question. So like in that scenario, it might be just make a short note, and then you can match the answer which you already know and which is correct. You can match that later on with the option, because obviously you have to stay listening to the audio at that point as well. So again, it depends on why you're getting them wrong, but there are some potential issues you might be having with multiple choice. Also, should we expect subjectivity from the examiner in evaluating our speaking and writing performance? I know someone that told a story of his friend in part 2 speaking and still got a speaking 8.5. No, there's no subjectivity. I mean, was the story about their friend relevant? How did they tell that story? I wouldn't worry about anecdotes. Like you hear all types of things about the test, but there's no subjectivity. Like okay, there's subjective in that, like, what does the word a few mean? What does the word many mean? But think about this. Like, let's say you go to a shop, you're buying apples, and you say to the shopkeeper, "Can I have a few apples?" And they fill up a big bag like this and give it to you. You're like, what are you doing? I said a few apples. So like the word a few means a few. So is it exactly 3? Is it exactly 5? Well, we don't know, but we still have the same idea of what a few is. Whereas like, you know what you're expecting, a rough number of what you're expecting with a few. And it's the same with the band descriptors. I mean, there's a big difference between a few error-free sentences and many error-free sentences. I mean, it looks completely different. So some people get really bogged down in that, saying, like it's subjective. It's up to the examiner to decide. But that's not true. It's that you're not given a specific number of correct sentences because you don't know how long are the sentences, how many clauses are in the sentences, how, like, there are too many other factors involved that giving a specific number would actually make it more ambiguous. So we all have very clear ideas of what some, a few, many, we know what that means. But some people get really fixated on that, and they try to say that means that the test isn't accurate and it's unfair and it's subjective. But none of that's true. None of that's true. That's usually people who are annoyed because they didn't get their test scores and they're trying to blame the test. No, it's not. That's not the way it works. Tom, you're very welcome. Okay, and the question in that part, so this is the rest of Kent Clark was talking about someone they know was in the test and they spoke about their friend. Was this about his own story? So I figured maybe some examiners accept some tweaks in answering speaking questions. No, I mean, like, that person told you that they spoke about their friend's story instead of their own story. Did they tell that to the examiner? So if it's like, tell me about a time when you went, swimming in a lake. It would never be that specific because some people would never go swimming in a lake. Tell me a time when you were near a lake or a river. And you go, oh, this one time my friend went to a river. Like, no, that's not acceptable at all. So I don't know, like, I don't know what your friend or this person, I don't know what they said in the test, but I know you can't just, you can't just talk about something completely different. You're like, I have this friend of mine went for a walk in the mountain one time. Like, well, you can't. You have to answer the question you've been asked. There's no way you get an 8.5 with that type of a response. You Sakib, I'm not sure what you mean. I think, but what I can tell you is, if you're struggling with the IELTS test, it's a very good chance it's your language ability at the moment. You're having problems communicating. So, it depends what score you need, but generally students are aiming for 7 and higher. Well, some need 6.5, but most of the students I work with need 7 and higher. And, if you're studying for the IELTS test before you have the ability to communicate clearly in English, it would be a better use of your time just to focus on, improve your vocab, improve your grammar, improve your fluency, work on the English first. And then after that, the IELTS test, the whole process of preparing for the IELTS test will be much easier when you can understand, the questions and the texts and everything. It just gets easier. So, with lower level students, focusing on English is a better option than focusing on IELTS. Makam Singh. Hi, sir. How to improve fluency in speaking module? This channel is recommended by Mr. Kulwan Singh. It is. To improve fluency, you just need to practice speaking. You need to practice speaking, and practice speaking in a way where you're not giving yourself a chance to think about your answers first. So I'm just trying to find something for you here. Okay, so Mokam, if you go down to the comments, you'll see here, improving fluency. So you'll see a link there. But the main thing is, if you think of what you want to talk about and you think about it for a few minutes, that's not improving your fluency. What you need to do is you need to create a situation where you don't know what question you're going to answer, you don't know what you have to talk about, and then you start talking instantly. So there are a few different ways. There are topic generators you find online. I really like those. Or it might be, open up a newspaper and talk about what you think what information you think is going to be in an article, or something where you don't know what to expect and suddenly there's a topic appears in front of you. You need to talk about it, and you need to talk about it now. Doing that will improve your fluency, or speaking to other people will improve your fluency. But the problem with speaking with other people is that you don't want to depend on that completely. If the only time you'll speak in English is when someone is listening to you, and you have a speaking partner and you speak once a week for an hour, well, you're not going to improve very quickly. But if you sit down and nobody has to listen, you just have to speak. So if you sit down and you practice every day for an hour, obviously you're going to improve a lot faster. So speaking partners are great, but you need more exposure than you would have with most speaking partners, or than most people would have with speaking partners. Is it true that mixing up American and British could really lower our score, either one or the other? I want to buy a posh car. I want to buy a fancy car. That isn't British and American. I know what you're talking about, but that's not an example of British and American English. In general, no, it's not a big deal. In general, it's not a big problem. if you're talking about an apartment, you're talking about a flat, it's not going to be a problem. Maybe if you're switching up the pronunciation in the middle. So like if you say adult, and then later you say adult, and then you say adult again. So I don't think like if you pronounce one word with American pronunciation and another word with British pronunciation, that wouldn't matter. But if you're swapping in and out of the pronunciation of the same word, I think that would be an issue, all right. But in general, it's not something that's to be concerned about. Okay, Iwa. I have a question about purpose statement for general task 1. Here's the task. You are going to throw a party and would like to cook a special dish for your guests, but do not have the recipe. Write a letter to your friend. In your letter, tell your friend why you are having a party. Explain what the dish you want to cook. Ask a friend what party. My purpose statement is I'm organizing a birthday party for my sister, and I really want to cook some. Yeah, I don't see any issue with that. No, that looks fine. Hey, Shiny. James. Hi, sir. Is UKV IELTS the same as normal IELTS? Yes. Kindly elaborate, because I'm a health professional, want to work in UK, and I'm stranded. The UKV IELTS, the difference for you, there are two differences. One, it costs you more money. Two, when you're doing the IELTS speaking test, they will record you with a camera instead of with a voice recorder. Everything else for you is the exact same. There are other differences in the security, the way that the test is monitored, the security checks, signatures and red tape and that type of stuff. But as far as you're concerned, the difference is how much you're paying and the camera instead of the voice recorder. You won't notice any other differences besides those two. But if you're asked for a UKVI, they will not accept the normal IELTS. So if you've been told you need UKVI, then you have to do that. He did clarify to the examiner that he never had that experience and explained that he would have to resort to telling someone else's experience of that sort. Yeah, I mean, if you did it in a logical way, but yeah, I guess if he explained why, you'd want to explain very clearly, like, I've never been to a lake in my life because I live in, a country where we're landlocked. There aren't any lakes. To go to a lake, I would need to travel, by plane for 6 hours. And therefore, I have never traveled to a lake. But I have this one friend, and he did take that plane for 6 hours and go to the lake. And he showed me some pictures. And you could work it in, but you would want to explain very clearly why you cannot discuss that topic. Yeah, but that makes sense. Yeah. Okay, guys, we have about 10 minutes left, so I'm going to start getting through these questions a bit faster. Just make sure I get to everyone. Oh, we're nearly at the end anyway, actually. Shiny, for Band 8, should I use idioms? No, don't use idioms. Or should be natural speaking without pauses. So these are different things. You're talking about fluency. The first thing you're talking about is vocab. The second thing you're talking about is fluency. They're not connected. They're marked completely separately. But don't use idioms. Just continue using whatever vocab you can most clearly communicate your ideas with. Don't worry about idioms. Don't learn idioms for the test. Don't try to use idioms. Just focus on clear communication. Does accent matter? Accent matters if it affects your pronunciation. Yeah, if it affects your pronunciation. So, like, there are quite a few different accents where instead of saying think, people say sink. So they say like an S sound instead. And if you're doing that, then accent matters because your accent is affecting your pronunciation. But can you get a band 9 and sound like you're from, whatever, I don't know where you're from, Shiny, but like, can you sound like you come from the country you come from? Absolutely. You can have an accent. There are like a lot of English accents already. I have an Irish accent completely different to an American accent or an Australian accent. Like I can get a band 9 with my accent, but what I can't do is mispronounce words and say them wrong. So the accent isn't a factor. The factor is your accent affecting your clarity and your accuracy. By the way, J4F. I'm too old for that now. J4F, what does that mean? Just for fun. Okay. If I get a British examiner and I say soccer instead of football, would that get me in trouble? No. Everybody, we all know the vocab. We all know each other's words. We use our own and understand each other's. Like, so if I'm sitting down talking to someone from America, I understand what they're saying. They understand what I'm saying, but I don't use their words. They don't use my words. We use our own words. We understand each other. So no, that's definitely not a problem. Okay, last question. Hi, B. Winkle. I have a question. If I write thesis line in this way, I support the former view and will discuss about it in detail in the upcoming paragraphs. Will I get a band 6 in coherence and cohesion? Does this look like mechanical writing? Yeah, it looks mechanical. It is mechanical. You've decided what to say before you went in. Don't do that. Like, at least make it about the question. I will discuss, okay, so I'll discuss it in detail. Say what is it? What is it that you're going to discuss? Don't be so generic. You can use parts of that. I mean, I support the former view and will discuss. You can use that, but then say what you're going to discuss, or at least say what the question is about. Like, don't have it so that you have a thesis sentence. Don't have it so that you have a thesis statement that can be used in any essay. That's not a good thesis statement. But that chunk of language in the beginning, you can use that, of course. I support the former view and will discuss, and then finish the sentence with the specific thing that the question is about. That's fine. Okay, seems like that's all the questions for today. At the start of the lesson, I shared the link for my free live feedback lessons. I'll share that with you again for any of you who came late. These are for my email subscribers. They're my free lessons on Zoom every week. If you want to join them, click on the link, sign up. You'll see the schedule, and then I cover reading, writing, listening, speaking, task 1, both task 1s, task 2, and we do Q&As as well. So, yeah, if you want to get involved, then get involved. Should have another video out later this week. It won't be live. I'll have another live stream next week, this time next week. And I'm hoping to have another video ready to upload probably Thursday or Friday. Hopefully, if I get the time. Okay, so that's it for now. Take care of yourselves. If you have any friends or family doing IELTS, make sure to send them my way. Any colleagues doing IELTS, if you're in any IELTS groups, spread word about complete test success, get my name out there. And yeah, best of luck to any of you who have tests coming up this week. Take care of yourselves. Talk to you next time.